UFC 293 has got to be the most shit planned card of all time. And not only has it been planned horribly, but it's also cursed. Kai Kara France has pulled out against Manel Kape. I doubt they're going to get a replacement for Manel Kape. I can't see them wanting to really focusing too much on keeping him on the Australia card. So he's off the card now. So now UFC 293 has 9 fights. And, no offense to these guys, but the main card is looking very likely to be Adesanya vs Strickland, Tuivasa vs Volkov, Taffa vs Lane 2, Pedro vs Takaj, and Olberg vs Da'an Young. That is not the main card of a pay-per-view worthy, in my opinion. 284 was a stacked main card, and in comparison, this card, I don't know, this card's just a disaster. Don't get me wrong, these fights are going to be fun. These are going to be really fun fights, but this card has been so poorly planned that, I don't know, it's like the UFC intentionally wanted this card to be shit, because they literally, and I'll mention this every time, they booked 3 of the best Aussie fighters 7 weeks before this card. I don't know what their game plan here was, but they've completely fucked the card up. Genuinely, this card, don't get me wrong, the fights will probably end up being fun, but are people really gonna pay money to watch, Pedro vs Takaj on the main card of a pay-per-view? To watch Tuffa vs Lane 2? Olberg vs Da'an Young on 2-fight losing streak? I don't know, this just feels like this card is going to be a disaster. Who knows what's going to happen? There's still 3 weeks. We could lose more fights. I don't know. They have to call up some regional talent from the Australia scene on this card or something. There's literally only 9 fights on this card, and this is a pay-per-view. I don't know why the UFC had Volkanovski, Whittaker, Jack Della Maddalena all fight 7-8 weeks before this card. In hindsight, it makes no sense. Their plan from the beginning was to get Whittaker versus the Duplessis winner, the winner of Whittaker versus Duplessis, to be the main event against Adesanya on this card. But obviously, Duplessis won that, so because of him winning that, obviously he won it by KO. So Whittaker can't even be on this card because he took too much damage. And then, obviously Duplessis was injured, so he can't fight Adesanya. So then now Strickland's versus Adesanya's the main event, which, nothing wrong with that main event. At least it's a fresh matchup. At least it's not Jared Cannonier versus Adesanya 2. But still, this card is fucking cursed, man. I don't know. I can't just... This card is so shit. Honestly, why have the UFC fucked over the Aussie fans so badly for this card? Having an Australia card and not having Whittaker, Volkanovski, or Jack Della Maddalena on it. It's just... I don't know, this shouldn't be a fucking pay-per-view. This should be a fight night. Honestly. I love all the fighters on this card. This isn't an anti-them thing. It's just they shouldn't be main carding pay-per-views at this point. If this was a fight night, then yeah, fine, this main card would be sick, but this is a pay-per-view, and besides pretty much the main event, and I guess you can say the Tuivasa Volkov fight, none of these fights are really main card of a pay-per-view worthy, in my opinion. But generally, this card is cursed. Kai Kara France vs Manel Kape would have been such a fun fight, would have been such a really good fight, but now that's not going to happen, so that's really annoying and upsetting. It's like, imagine how good it would have been they if Jack Della Maddalena versus Kevin Holland was on this card and not the week after. That's another thing that's really annoying. I get that nobody would fly to Sydney, but the fact that they put the Jack Della Maddalena versus Kevin Holland fight on the next week is such a like big fuck you to the Australian fans. Like generally, 293 is a disaster. They need to call up like Cody Haddon, who just had a win last weekend on Hex, or they got to get Justin Van Heerden, the eternal featherweight champion on this card, or I don't know. They need to call up some Aussie talent or something because this card needs help. This card needs more fights. They can't just have 9 fights on this card. Like they need to get some Australian talent to at least hype it up a little bit. I don't know, man. This card is fucking going to shit. Like, still gonna probably be a fun card, Aussie fighters, they fucking bring it, but let me read you this card. Like, obviously there's Shane Young versus Gabriel Miranda is on this card, not a great fight. Blood Diamond versus Charlie Radke is on this card, not an amazing fight. Jamie Malaki versus John McDessie, that's a fun one. Jack Jenkins versus Chepe Mariscal, that's going to be a really good fight, so I'm looking forward to that one. But then it's Carlos Ulberg versus Darren Young. That's a fun fight, don't get me wrong. It's a good fight. It shouldn't be on the main card of a pay-per-view, in my opinion. Then you got Tyson Pedro versus Anton Takesh. Takesh is 0-2 in the UFC, and he's going to be on the main card of a pay-per-view. Justin Tuffer versus Austin Lane. I love Justin Tuffer, but, him versus Lane shouldn't be on the main card of a pay-per-view, I don't think. But, maybe it's acceptable. His fight at 284 was good. It was good to have him on the main card of that one, but it's just Austin Lane's not really a high-profile opponent, but I guess it is what it is. But Tuivasa versus Volkov is a fun fight and all, but I don't know, 9 fights on this card. It's just rough, man. Generally feels like this card's cursed. And I feel bad for anyone who actually went and got tickets for this card because I was thinking about going to this card, but thank God I didn't because it seems like every day this card gets worse. So hopefully the UFC adds some fights to this card. 9 fights. There should never be a pay-per-view that only has 9 fights on it because you never know what's going to happen at the weigh-ins. One of the big fights could fall through or something, and then it's a fucking 8-fight pay-per-view card. I don't know. Just craziness. Hopefully they fix it somehow. Cody Haddon on here, get him in there against I don't know, some bantamweight. Fucking Damon Blackshear. Damon Blackshear, you just fought last weekend. Time to fight again. Nah, I don't know, but you get Cody Haddon on there. He's a 5-1, but he's a really good prospect. You could get Justin Van Heerden on there. He's on a massive win streak. He beat Muhammad Alavi, who Alavi was set for Dana White Contender Series before the whole pandemic happened. So, he's beat some real good guys. So you could get Van Heerden on there. You'd call Joseph Luciano up there. He's fighting the day before, so he's already in camp. So, I don't know. They've got to do something for this card, though, because, this card's looking really rough. And I can't, if they don't add any more fights, I'm just worried more fights are going to fall through. So hopefully they do something because this card, it's just rough, man. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.